Lightsabers hum, they light up the night. Pete and Nick keep the galaxy bright. From Tatooine sands to indoor trees, they're bringing the news with galactic ease. ATGLive, we're blasting away, talking Star Wars every Thursday. Interviews, opinions, and all the lore. Hop on the Falcon, they're opening the door. From Vader's breath to Grogu's charms, theories and chats, they keep us disarmed. Around the galaxy tonight, Chris and Kelsey keeping it tight. They're breaking news like a Death Star blast, taking your calls and reading your chats. The greatest guests and what you need to know. Pete and Nick lead the Star Wars show. ATGLive, we're blasting away, talking Star Wars every Thursday. Interviews, opinions, and all the lore. Hop on the Falcon, they're opening the door.
We're home.
Well, welcome to ATGLive, your Thursday night home for all things Star Wars and sports lately, and UFC tonight. We're talking UFC, not just talking UFC, we're talking with two UFC fighters. Nick, who would have thought when we started the show a couple years ago, we would expand beyond just talking to nerdy writers and stuff to nerdy people who kick the shit out of other people. How you doing, Nick?
I'm good. And you know what? I'm supposed to say, who would have guessed it? You know what? We would have guessed it, because that's what this show is. This show is a chance to interact with all kinds of fun people and do it all because everybody loves Star Wars. And so the love of Star Wars expands not just to nerds, but sports people and lawyer people and Air Force people and whoever else it is that we might talk to along this journey that we are on. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, well, I love it too. We'll be speaking to Angela Hill and Jessica Penne from, or Penne, I'm going to say her name wrong, I'm sure, from the UFC a little bit later on tonight. We're going to do the news updates and everything like we always do. But, maybe before we do that, let's say hello to our friends who keep things going. We have Kelsey and we have Chris. How are you guys doing? Kelsey, what's going on? You have First Sith to win an Emmy as your subtitle on your name.
No, that's me.
Okay, excellent. Welcome. I'm glad you're here with us this week. And Chris, how are you?
I am so upset that I'm not going to celebration this year, man.
Oh, Chris, you're bringing me down, man. What?
I'm sorry, sorry, man.
What?
Oh, everyone's arriving in Japan now. I've been wanting to go back to Japan for 2 decades. I'm like, come on.
Well,
hopefully we'll come back to the States next time.
I'm gonna put money on Orlando for 27. That's what I'm saying. That's my guess. Yeah, I'd love it to be Philly. It'd be great for Philly, Chris. I think
the way that don't get me started. I mean, the way they're going with weather, it's getting farther and farther away. It's going to be on the moon next time. That's where it's going to be at.
I'm going. If it's on the moon, I'm going to that one, and I'm not coming back. I'm staying.
Yeah, right. For sure. Well, that's good. A
round trip, crazy money.
It's going to be expensive. You thought Japan was bad? Forget it. It's I just don't know. I don't know. Well, we have
all in on the moon, baby.
All in on the moon. Well, we have a lot going on tonight. There's a ton of I mean, the Andor stuff is just ripping into high gear. Every time I open up social media, there's another new picture. Apparently today there was an early screening or some sort of event in the UK. So we get to see pictures of all the good people there. And we want to let you know about a show that podcast only that's going to be done by Nick and myself called Road to Rebellion. It's the Andor after show. It's going to come out the day that the show comes out. So everybody else is going to have these fancy videos where they're doing Easter eggs and stuff like that. But as soon as you're done watching it, you can go to your podcast feed and you'll find me and Nick taking you through the show, picking up some things that we picked up and just talking about what it means and going through all of that there. So make sure to check that out. Make sure you're following us on the on the podcast feed. Nick, what else am I forgetting? There's all kinds of socials and things we got to do.
But
too,
yeah,
right?
besides the podcast feed, follow us on all the social medias. You can find all of them at the SSWnetwork.com, as indicated at the bottom of your screen. If you're on most of those social medias, you can find us at the SSW Network. You can also find merchandise, Patreon, where we do all kinds of fun, stupid stuff. We'll send you stickers. You'll get to join recordings of the Around the Galaxy podcast when we have interviews. And as you can see, as indicated right here by my pseudo Obi-Wan like pompadour, we also have a voicemail line, 504-321-1501. If you call that number at any given time, especially once you start watching Andor and you have big thoughts, big feelings, notices of things in the background, call that number, leave us a message about it. We will play them on the show. We will discuss them. And it's just one of the many ways that you can be a part of this conversation that we have on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. And cool. So, and we also have, it's baseball season. I'm going to get a lot, unless you have it handy, Nick, I'm going to get a score.
I don't have it handy.
Braves game. Hold on.
The Braves game is delayed, or it was as of about 25 minutes.
Yep, it's 1-1. It is delayed right now. So must be, is it raining down there in Atlanta?
I believe it is raining in Atlanta. We've had some ridiculous southern weather over the last 2 weeks, tornadoes and flash flooding. We got 6.5 inches of rain last Sunday.
Nice.
I do got to mention our guest coming up did just throw out the first pitch at the Padres game. So we got some like baseball heat coming in.
There we go.
You know, I am just, for some reason, and it's not just because I'm a Phillies fan and we're finally like worth watching over the last couple of years, but baseball is just, it just feels like it's finally back, and I don't know what that is, and but I don't know. I'm just loving baseball. Actually, a friend of mine from high school just sang the national anthem at Yankee Stadium, which is really cool. I don't know how she did that, but that was really cool to see somebody I know do that. So that's sports. Impressive. Yeah, that impressed me as well. Nick, do you have an update on the Final Four March Madness? Whatever strikes, the bracket strikes. The Empire Strikes bracket. Is that what we're calling it?
The Empire Strikes bracket. Let me pull it up because I do have an update, and the update is the Auburn Tigers did not win.
They did not.
They lost to Florida, the eventual national champion. So we kept it in the SEC. I guess that's how I'm making myself feel better.
All right.
It's not really helping. Most importantly, I finished in 12th place, so that was not great. But our winner of our bracket is someone named Drake Whaley, 23-2. Drake Whaley, 23-2. I don't know who you are. But if you can reach out to us through one of these social media contact points below, send us a screenshot of your bracket on social media. We would love to get you a little prize pack together as promised. In second place, Jace's picks at Granny Ma's. Tied also Tim Zettel. Sooners fan, I think, is Matt, 89-23. Matt finished in fourth place.
Nice.
Pete picked Tennessee and never picked a name for his team. So ESPN fan 623-789-7637.
That's me. That's
finished
me.
In 11th. It finished in 11th place.
Those numbers have a personal meaning to me.
Well, I'm sure they do. All of them. It's like the ignition code for the Death Star reactor. Kelsey unfortunately finished in 17th place. And so and apparently that is not Matt. So I don't know who Sooners fan 89-23 is. Maybe I love you. It's what's his name? JD. I bet it's JD. JD, did you enter the bracket contest as Sooners fan 89-23? I think you're an Oklahoman.
It's so funny. Like, we can't get engagement on certain things, but we throw up a freaking NCAA bracket, and people we've never even heard of who probably watch the show every week are just like coming in that way. So, we'll take it. We'll definitely take it.
Drake, you won. Send us a message. We'll get you some stuff.
Was not JD. Well, we'll have to figure this out. Well, before we take our break and do our little news recap of the week, we also have to do our regularly scheduled toast.
Yes, we do.
Nick, let's hear it. What are we doing this week?
We have, as we continue the second week of Dr. Afro, we do have our Dr. Afro figure. Kelsey's got hers in a porg mode, which is even better.
I love that.
So we're gonna drop the good doctor down in here, Pete. I think you've got the video ready for us.
I do. Here we go.
I think I'm gonna. Ooh.
Nope, I got it.
I didn't really prepare who we're going to toast to tonight. So we're going to toast to our guests, to Angela and Jessica. We're excited that they are on to talk about their excitement for Star Wars and where that has led them in their career. And as we have said, this is a show that is about Star Wars. That's the thing that binds us together, but it's a show about all kinds of nonsense. So cheers to all of you. Happy Star Wars and happy Dr. Afrel.
Lasers, explosions, things that go pew pew, and right in the middle of it all, our intrepid heroine. That's me, Dr. Chelly Lona Afra.
There you go. She did it. He did it. And Chris and I looked on in horror. And I mean, I normally would do it, but as I said, for some reason, I gave up alcohol for Lent, and so I'll be back for Imperial March. So that'll be
there. You go.
Wait,
great. You missed Imperial March.
No, well, so May. Yeah,
we have to decide. We're having to decide.
I'm gonna go
what
back
May
in time for that. Yeah. Well, hey, well, I remember what month it is and prepare for the rest of the show. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of news. So we'll be back with more ATG Live.
What's up, my fellow Gen X Star Wars fam? My name is Chris Rhines from Broaxium. You may know me from ATG's Force Connect that I co-hosted with Pete and Nick. Now, I'm the owner and operator of Broaxium Outpost, an online shop for all your action figure and collectibles needs like Star Wars Black Series, G.I. Joe Classified, Star Wars Vintage Collection, Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series and Vintage Collection, Transformers Studio Series, Star Wars lightsabers and helmets, Masters of the Universe, and much, much more, including Star Wars action. All right, I have a lot of Star Wars stuff. I'm just saying. Stop by and check out the store at www.broaxiumoutpost.com. Sign up to become a part of the Bounty Hunters Guild and stay updated on new pre-orders, sales, and exclusive Broaxium content. Find something you like? Use the promo code ATG10 for 10% off your first order. We have Star Wars figures, by the way.
Yes, buy your Star Wars stuff from Chris. If you're going to buy it, you're going to buy it anyway. Buy it from a guy who's going to pack it well. That's number one. Number two, he's a good guy. He hangs out with us on the show, and he loves all of you guys. And number three, he's a small local business. He's just a what did Jango Fett say? He's just a regular guy trying to make his way through the universe. So buy some of his stuff. Did I screw it up, Chris? I screwed up the quote a little bit, didn't I?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's why we can't have nice.
Just things. A simple man trying to make you
simple man. Damn. See, this is why I suck at Star Wars trivia. All right. Well, listen, there was a couple news stories that hit through the week, and we want to take a minute to get to those. So why don't we get to our news section? Did you know that you can get all the Star Wars news as it happens? It can be found on our website. That's right. And I bet you did know that, because if you were watching last week or the week before, we've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. But if you go to the SSWnetwork.com on the regular, you can keep up with all the Star Wars news in quick, easy to read news bites. And then here on the show every week, we pick a couple that stood out to us, and we go through them. Nick, what's a story that happened this week that you thought is worth talking about?
Well, the first one, and this is a story that we had kind of kicked around, a year or so ago. Gina Carano's wrongful termination lawsuit against Disney actually took a step forward this week. A California court has ruled in her favor. They have ordered Disney to comply with discovery demands. Carano claims her firing in 2021 following a controversial social media post cost her a role in the forecasted to be Rangers of the New Republic movie. Or series. Disney had tried to dismiss the case, but they failed. Now the court is saying Disney has to release salary details for other Star Wars actors within 20 days to assess fair wage comparisons. Carano, in a quote, called the decision a small breath of fresh air as the case moves into its next phase. So, Pete, here's the deal. Over a year ago, as this story, was kind of a first time thing, you and I not being legal experts, but we were fairly confident that this would make it to court because this was somebody suing to try and get their job back. And this was somebody, who clearly, again, contract was not renewed, wasn't fired. There's a lot of that. But this is, we're wrong. This is moving forward in the courts at the time. So I'm asking you, what is the best, and I'll go with seemingly logical, in your opinion, outcome for Gina Carano in all of this? She sued to want to get her job back. We've talked about before, you don't get fired from some place and sue and then be like, yeah, everybody's going to be fine if I come back to work here because the court said I had to. Like, weirdest work environment ever. So what is a win other than, a ridiculous sum of money, in your opinion?
I think what's going to end up happening, and, we said this when we first heard about this, either one of two things was going to happen. It was either going to get thrown out or they were going to settle out of court. Settling out of court is an admission of guilt. But I think at this point, if this continues on much further, Disney's not going to win no matter what at this point, because the court of opinion has already decided, the laser eyes YouTubers and the people who want to hate Disney already do. And the people who recognize that, Gina, here's the thing. And I've said this before, and I will stick with this. Gina was not fired. Gina was just not renewed. Her contract was not renewed. It's like, if you and I were doing this and you were going off on some weird social media stuff and assuming we had contracts, and I was just like, you know what, we're not going to renew your contract, Nick. It's just going to be me and Chris. And that's what's going to happen. And that's all it was. Her contract was up. They didn't renew, but it's just going to get uglier and uglier, and they're going to dig and dig and dig. So to me, I think Gina should just take some cash, and probably will, and call it a win, and then this thing will go away as it probably should have months.
I think you're right.
Ago, so.
I think you're right. And I am glad we don't have contracts, even though you'd probably be better off if it was just you and Chris, but you're stuck.
I don't think so. I mean, your tweets are less obnoxious and controversial than mine. So we're probably better off. But we were saying before that Andor season 2 is preparing to premiere in just 2 weeks from this past Tuesday. And creator Tony Gilroy was reflecting on the show's unique journey in an interview with Empire Magazine. He credited the success of The Mandalorian and the support of Lucasfilm and Disney leadership, including Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger, for allowing Andor to take these bold creative risks. Gilroy noted that such a show with its grounded storytelling and practical effects may never happen again in this space. He also acknowledged the importance of Mandalorian and Grogu, stating that if you didn't have Baby Yoda, you wouldn't have Andor. And so as Andor moves forward and fans are expecting more ambitious storytelling in the Star Wars galaxy, Nick, I got to ask, do you think, is it fair to put so much of the success or failure of Star Wars on The Mandalorian? And that's not exactly what he meant by it, but maybe even, is it fair to say that without a successful Mandalorian, we wouldn't be maybe even 5, 6, 7 series into where we are now?
I think it is. And I'm going to come back to that because let's make no bones about it. Andor stands on its own 2 feet. Andor, season 1 was incredible. All the hype about Andor season 2, the expectations. It's one of the few things that has happened in Star Wars that, and I think he even, it said in one of the interviews and the articles that came out, like, it's one of the few things that's been left to do its thing and hasn't been messed with. And, give it to Tony Gilroy and let him run with this vision. It stands on its own. But I do think it is fair to put the success of it at the feet of The Mandalorian, because let's be honest, The Mandalorian launched an entire network. It launched the Disney streaming platform. And so not even Star Wars, but Marvel and National Geographic and all these things that Disney Plus has become. ESPN's doing daily Sports Center, 10-minute recaps every day. And Hulu's, like, the success of all of these things, it started with The Mandalorian. Like, that was the signature, kind of launching the signature flag that launched to get everything going. So I do think it makes sense. Now, beyond that, is every show that's made going to be The Mandalorian? No. There's going to be different shows, different tones, different, parts of it. You've got animation, you've got the preschool animation with Young Giant Adventures. All of that stuff exists, but it created a platform and a space to go, how do we experiment? Do we create a West Wing style Star Wars with Andor? And, we go from there. But I think it totally makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think success breeds success, but it's not just one show. And even the ones that people just didn't necessarily like, it worked for somebody else. So it works there. So for sure. All right.
Absolutely. Well, let's do another story, and then we're going to keep this party moving because we've got some awesome guests that we want to talk to tonight. British Film Institute is going to screen the original unedited 1977 theatrical cut of Star Wars for the first time in decades at its second annual Film on Film Festival starting June 12th in London. The event will feature a rare dye transfer IB Technicolor print, one of the few remaining copies from the film's original British release. Public access to the original trilogy has been limited since the 2006 DVD release, and official remastered versions have yet to surface, despite being rumored. I don't want anybody to be too jealous, but I have my unedited original copies on this thumb drive right here that sits on my desk. But the screenings marks a historic moment for fans, offering a rare opportunity to experience Star Wars the way it was very first shown in 1977. Pete, my question is, this is very exciting for fans like us. This was the first thing we saw when it comes to Star Wars. But George Lucas has also publicly stated that he didn't want the original version shown anymore because to him it was an unfinished version.
Yeah.
So is it an okay thing to do to go against George's wishes? Is it okay? I mean, it's an art, and, you know, who gets to critique the artist's art kind of deal. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, no, I think at this point, Star Wars is part of cinema history. It's part of pop culture history. It's bigger than George. It's bigger than Disney. It's, you know, there's, you know, two middle-aged guys here talking about Star Wars on Thursday nights. It's part of part of who we are. So, you know, it's yeah, it may not be George's final vision, but the first one that hit theaters certainly has value. And I don't think it's necessarily going against his wishes so much as it's saying, hey, this is where it came from. And so to me, I think it's a totally legitimate thing. And I do hope that eventually we have the choice to watch either one. Just, you know, I would still probably watch the latest version just because it looks the best and it's the best sounding and all that stuff. But just to have the option to watch it, you know, it's sort of like, you ever go back, like, I'll never forget, like Hellraiser. When Hellraiser first came out, I was like, that was the most disturbing movie I ever saw. And then I went and I watched it again. I was like, yeah, it was not so great. and so now, like with the original Star Wars, I've been like, I want to see the way it looked. And, you know, you're going to watch it and you're going to be like, oh, well, yeah, I'm glad he got back to be able to fix it up a little bit. So I don't see a problem with it. And I do hope we get to all get to see it at some point. So
for sure.
Great. Well, cool. Well, we are going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to have Jessica and Angela from the UFC. Well, welcome back to ATGLive, your Thursday night home for everything Star Wars and everything. We do. Do we still do recipes? We should do recipes. I think when we did a cooking. No, we're not gonna do a cooking show. We're not gonna do we don't do book reports because we don't read the books. We do comic reviews, except when we have Chris join us on screen because we don't read comics, and but we do talk to every kind of person who is a Star Wars fan. And we have spoken to comedians, we've spoken to actors, we've spoken to writers, we've spoken to sports. We've spoken to everybody now on from around the horn, the whole ESPN thing. But now we are going to be joined by two MMA fighters who are Star Wars fans. So let's introduce Jessica and Angela. Jessica Penne, Angela Hill, how are you guys?
Good.
Thank you for having us.
This is so cool. So cool to have you guys here. How are you guys doing? Oh, I heard. Wait, which one of you threw the ball out at the Padres game?
I did. I did. Yes.
All right. Was it a strike? Did you?
It would have been a strike if there was a batter there, but I threw it just low so he would swing but not hit it.
The most important thing is you didn't pull the 50 cent and just like chunk it off towards first base.
No, I didn't even know about that. And then everyone was like, "Oh, you did better than 50 cent." And I Googled it and I was like, "Oh my goodness. How did he get it to it's a skill to get it to go that trajectory."
Yeah. Took its own special kind of thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Well, go ahead, Pete.
Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're thrilled that y'all are here tonight. And before we get into Star Wars, because obviously that's one of those connecting points, the connecting threads that, ties us all together. Before we get to Star Wars, for people who may not follow MMA, for people who may not know who you guys are, give us a quick little intro to who the two of you are and certainly, about your podcast.
Who's sure?
Do you want to go first?
So, I actually came into the MMA after Jessica. She was one of the biggest stars when I started, and I didn't know if I was ready for it, but then they decided to bring in strawweights, which is close enough to our weight classes. They brought that into the UFC, and that was when it was just Ronda Rousey and the 135ers. Those are the only females. So when we got brought into the UFC, they did it through the Ultimate Fighter, which is the MMA reality TV show. Lots of doors were broken in the filming of those shows, but it's a classic type of TV show, and they introduced our weight class to the UFC via that, and that's how me and Jessica met.
Nice. Jessica?
Yeah. So I've been part of the sport for almost 2 decades. I call it the dark days of women's MMA. Just being there, it's changed. It's amazing to see where the sport has evolved to, and now they're letting women in the UFC, whereas before they said that they would never, ever allow us in there. But I fought on a lot of the bigger shows, Invicta, Bellator, and the UFC, and we were both part of the inaugural season that introduced the 115-pound division into the UFC, and we've been friends ever since.
That's great. So yeah, I mean, it's funny. UFC, like MMA it's got such a huge following. Like the people that are into it are just so. Do you find like you have like the rabid fan bases and that sort of thing?
I feel like MMA fans are a very, very special group of individuals. They either ride really hard for you or really hard against you, but either way, you want that kind of you want that polarization, you want that kind of passion in your fans. So yeah, it's a fun sport to be in.
I kind of feel like what he was trying to get at is that like they basically both have like culty followings, like Star Wars and MMA. It's like just they're like very different cults, but sometimes they kind of come together.
Yeah.
No, it's true, and I even see like I know it's not WWE or I'm sorry, but like it's that same. But like the people who love those things, they're so into it, and it's so great to see that. But to be part of it must be really. Like you have people who are just like you were just saying for and against, which I think is really interesting, and it's an individual, not a team, as well, which must make it a little bit more challenging. Do you find it sort of challenging sometimes, kind of dealing with all the different types of fans that you have?
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, So everybody's an individual. We're our own brand. We market ourselves in individual ways. So across the board, there's something for everyone. And some people, feel very passionate about one person and, opposite the other. So it's just different. It gives people a lot of opportunity to connect with different fighters for different reasons.
Cool. Well, yeah, so let's talk a little. So one of the things that we've tried to do with Around the Galaxy and ATGLive for years is that we try to capture that moment where Star Wars fans meet. And that's kind of the cool thing here. Like through Kelsey, we found out that you guys are Star Wars fans, which definitely opens a door. It's kind of that opportunity to just sort of meet somebody and talk to them. Let's start with you, Angela. Tell us a little bit about your Star Wars fandom and where it started and your Star Wars journey.
Well, I mean, I didn't realize this was like a big Star Wars fan thing. But I was definitely affected by Star Wars because I'm an 85 baby. So growing up, those were the movies that like your family watched, that your parents had on. Then when you get older, it's always on, I don't know, like the Sci-Fi Channel or coming on TV. I remember my brothers had the Star Wars blankets growing up. So it's one of those things that had to have touched every household's life. Like if you had a TV, you were touched in some way by Star Wars. I think basically that and wanting to have like a lightsaber fight all the time. Like, like that's kind of my interaction with it.
That's great. What about you, Jess?
So similarly, I grew up watching, the original trilogy, and I mean, we watched it, on the weekends. We'd have movie night, and my dad is a huge fan, so he would always have one on deck, that or Indiana Jones or the classics.
Yeah.
Right.
So he really got me into it. Of course, since I was so young, I just really gravitated towards Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks. So I always wanted an Ewok as a friend, want to hang out with Wicket. And so that's where, I started just really enjoying it.
That's awesome. So when you I want to look at this comment from Vampsis says, "This is awesome. Star Wars is absolutely for everyone. I feel like MMA is a perfect pairing. Complete your training, strike me down." Get that Emperor part in there. Talking about Star Wars and talking about you guys' experience, if you could pick a Star Wars character that you feel like you relate the most to, who would you pick? And Jess, we'll start with you. Who is a Star Wars character that you feel like you relate to?
I mean, I always liked Princess Leia, but she wasn't as she was more of a damsel in distress. But I mean, I grew up on Disney as well. So I always kind of, wanted to be Princess Leia, and I loved her hair, and I just love that. But as, the series has progressed, we have Natalie Portman in a very, amazing, badass role. So now as an adult, I feel like I gravitate towards her.
Excellent choices across the board. Angela, what about you?
Of course, it's got to be Lando. That's like the one Halloween costume I haven't hit yet. Yeah, but
nice.
I don't know. I love like Afrofuturism, and that's one of the series where you always felt included because there was at least one character that you could relate to, no matter what kind of background you're from. So I always like that. But I don't know. It's hard to. It's hard to think. Maybe Chewbacca. I feel like, I don't know. I feel misunderstood sometimes. People think I'm just this savage beast, but really I'm a very loyal friend. I'm a super loyal teammate, and I'm a great co-pilot.
That is actually, and if you need to, if you lose that space chess game, you could still rip an arm out of its socket if you wanted to.
Yes,
you don't have to, but it's right there on
it's
deck.
An option.
So, yeah, it's an option. I think that's an excellent choice. I think you nailed it. Well, tell us a little bit about the Two Straws podcast, because this is something that the two of you do together. Obviously, you have been friends for a long time. You've met through, MMA and, your journey together. Tell us about the podcast and kind of what you guys do on that, what your conversations are like.
We have a lot of fun. It started as just kind of I don't know, kind of a silly, playful kind of joke. And then it became a reality. Our manager, Brian, was really encouraging because we just, I don't know, Angela and I have so much fun and we've shared so many like experiences. So we just started like really having fun. And Angela is so creative. She has an art background and she's so funny. So she just really, I can continue. So yeah, we just had this idea to create a fun podcast that's unlike any other MMA podcast. Across the board, being in this sport, you get asked the same questions in interviews. You hear the same headlines every single day. So we just wanted to put our own fun, unique spin on it, and it's been received like really well. It's been pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, I think the thing that sets us apart more than most MMA podcasts is that it's two women. I think you rarely see that, and then you do have a few like I think before there was Laura Senko and Megan Anderson. They had a podcast going on that was about MMA, but then it ended up fizzling out, especially as they went their different paths. But me and Jess, we still like live pretty close together. We train together. We're on the same path basically, and it's cool to be able to bring people along with that journey. So whether we're talking about fights or relating something that happened in the MMA news to something in our actual life or in a past experience, like she said, I feel like people really get to know us and become part of the pack, like part of the crew. And it's a fun ride.
It feels to me like MMA fighters have to have a little bit more personality. And I guess, as we were saying before, like this is how you attract that fan base. And so as much as you need to be in incredible physical condition to be able to fight, to be able to have the dexterity and the strength and everything else, you also have to be interesting. And so it's really cool that you're taking that and you're putting it into a podcast as well, because that's not only builds your brand, right, but it also it's a blast to listen to. So
thank you.
Well, and speaking of that creativity, I'm understanding either one or both of you brings a cosplay element to some of the things that you do. Tell us a little bit about that.
I've definitely roped Jess into more than one of my costumes, and she is a very willing like sidekick, stagehand. At one point, she was just like the guy in the green suit that moved like my prop. But
I was the wind.
She was the wind. She was the wind. She brought the costume to life. But I started doing cosplay for weigh-ins when I was in Invicta. They kind of had a reputation. I think they had a couple shows close to Halloween and girls would dress up, and it became this thing. And there was one negative criticism of it going around that it looked like budget Comic-Con. So I was like, oh, well, let me show you real Comic-Con, like I'll show you the real thing. Exactly. So I would make my costumes for weigh-ins. Jess was there for most of them. And or I think all of them. And yeah, it was a really fun way to set myself apart from the other girls, because I chose kind of nerdy stuff. Like I was really into the Fallout franchise, the Fallout video game franchise. So I dressed up as a vault dweller. Then I did like Street Fighter characters. So I feel like people were able to get a better sense of my personality when I did that.
That's fun. That's really cool. But sort of speaking of like films and TV shows and the things that you watch, you guys are both, you're purveyors of martial arts, right? For lack of a better term. When you're watching fight scenes in movies and television shows, do you find yourself sort of taking them apart and dissecting them, or are you able to kind of separate them and look at them as separate sort of pieces of entertainment?
Some things I get a little bit critiquey with, and I'm like, listen, it's just a movie. I think the best, most realistic fight scenes for me, or just the most well done, are from the John Wick movies. I think that they're just amazing. It's a lot of combat sambo, which is, very similar to judo. Angela and I both train judo. So there's just a lot of really cool takeaways and really amazing techniques done very, very well. So sometimes, I can really appreciate a really good fight scene. And sometimes I get a little, little snooty with it, but mostly I just try and sit back and appreciate it.
That's
yeah. Cool. I think what was it? Good Boy. I really like a bad fight scene, like a fight scene where the character or characters don't really have a style or don't know how to fight, because then you can just let your imagination run wild. But when you train, someone's pretending to be a boxer and they don't throw punches like boxers do, then it takes away from it a bit, right?
Yep. You're right. Like it's nothing's gonna top something like Rocky, where he actually trained to do all that stuff. And one of my favorite things that I just saw, it was unfortunately around the time that Carl Weathers passed away, but just them working together to put all the fight scenes together for the original Rocky, and they did it with boxing coaches, and so it came across they did it the right way, I guess is kind of a way to put it.
Yeah, it's really important to have like just an understanding, how body mechanics work, what it's like to actually get hit, what it's like to actually, throw a punch and connect. And there's a lot of trust involved in those kind of things, a lot of repetition. Like for example, Angela and I have been training partners for years, and there's a lot of almost like choreography in the drilling that goes along with it. And there's just a lot of trust that's built and necessary for technique or for a fight scene to be executed properly.
Now, is that something you'd like to do one day, is like get into movie fight choreography? Is that something you could see yourself doing?
I don't know if my body will physically be able to handle it.
Oh, stop it. You're so
Angela is actually doing some stunt training.
Oh, you are? You've done some stunt stuff?
A little bit, but I'm kind of in the same boat as Jess. Like, I don't want to take the bumps and the falls and get hit by cars, but I feel like I can put together like a nice fight scene and maybe even act it out. Like we've been working on our spinning. Our other friend Kat Zagano, she's really getting into the stunt stuff. She just got her SAG card recently, so cool. You might be seeing her in like short films and stuff soon. But it's definitely something I've always wanted to do. Like there was a brief part of time where I was at a parkour studio trying to learn how to backflip. Never got there, but the intention was to be able to, start working my way up to doing cool like parkour things, jumping from poles and stuff, and then throwing in the fight moves on top of that.
That's great. That's cool. Yeah. There's rare guests that we'll have on the show that my son who's 12 years old, who other than when we have like the big name actors from Star Wars, but when I mentioned we were having you guys on, because thanks to social media, he knew who you guys were. He was
Yay!
Hooray! Yeah, it was very cool. So tonight I'm a cool dad doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to look at this just for a second. Vince, this says we need more realistic stunts in movies, a la episode 5 of Acolyte. And when you were talking about stunts and fights and some of that kind of stuff, it kind of reminded me that over the whole course of Star Wars, we have had this really neat opportunity to see the training that has gone into it. It goes all the way back to the 70s, and we get that great footage of Mark Hamill in flare jeans and a pair of cowboy boots practicing with that big metal stick with David Prowse. Exactly. And then you go to the prequels and you get Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor practicing that, crazy sword fight for Revenge of the Sith over and over and over again. And they did it in real life. And then even to bring it to the sequel trilogy. And I love behind the scenes documentaries, and all those sequel movies come with those making ofs. And there's just the footage of Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver for hours choreographing and doing the choreography and learning the fights for like the throne room scene in Last Jedi, where they're literally just going at it and they're going into full on training. This isn't, and it doesn't mean the stunt doubles aren't involved and the coordinators aren't involved, but like, I love seeing the commitment in Star Wars to trying to make fights that take place in outer space seem somewhat real and seem somewhat connected and grounded in something that's not just, old Alec Guinness up there, trying to do his best in the fight in New Hope.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you train too, you appreciate how hard that was on their bodies, how tired they must have been doing it over and over again. The dedication it takes when you mess it up over and over again, you just can't get it right, and how many reps you have to do in order to get that move the way it has to work and make it look cool. So there's a lot of respect that goes into fight scenes now that I didn't have when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, Ray Park and Gene Short. One of the funny stories from the very first ever Star Wars celebration was before the Phantom Menace came out, and Ray Park, who plays Darth Maul, was there. But there was so much rain in Denver, and there was like literally flooding into the tents, and a friend of ours who was an MC there tells a story of Ray Park on the stage, like doing all his moves and stuff. And everybody who was there from management was panicking because they're just waiting for him to slip and slide off the stage because he's doing, he's doing
the rain.
Yeah, in the rain, just all that stuff. But speaking of Ray Park and speaking of the Phantom Menace, Kelsey had a really fun idea for us to go through. So I'm going to bring her here. Hey, Kels, how are you?
Doing all right. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good.
Hey. Yeah, well, I was just thinking, because I mean, we have two like really awesome MMA fighters here, and just like when you think of Star Wars fights, like probably the most iconic one has to be Duel of the Fates. And so I'm kind of wondering from both of you guys if there's anything in there that you could actually use in a UFC fight, or if anything actually makes any sense. If it's as good to like a UFC fighter as it is to someone who's just a fan of watching action.
I get it. Yeah, let's rewatch it.
Let's rush it. Yeah, let's watch it together. Here we go. Here it is. We can pause it anywhere along the line.
Okay.
And I do have to say right off the bat, I did take the music out because I didn't want us to get clipped out. So this scene does hit differently, not having that iconic score behind it.
It's actually kind of cool.
We at least get the lightsabers. So
I am missing John Williams.
So my first critique was going to be that it would have been a lot easier to circle around them instead of doing a front like somersault to the other side of him. I feel like he would have had more energy to swipe across as he circled. That was a little unnecessary.
But like it looked really cool though, right?
It was a little showboaty.
A little bit. And with the dual sabers too, at any point he could have gotten sliced in half as he's spinning over.
Okay. Real quick, are you familiar with all of Ray Park's martial arts background? Like, is what he doing actually like good form?
It looks amazing, but I'm not familiar.
No, I mean, right off the bat, what you notice is everyone stays in their stance. They all have dynamic movement. They're all balanced. Their center of gravity is balanced. So, I mean, initially that's what it is, and everybody has tight technique. Elbows are in, they're keeping their sabers controlled. And then in this scene, they start going, they put, Darth Maul, they put him completely on the defense right off the bat. So in a fight, that's what you want. Sometimes the best defense is a great offense.
Cool. I gotta ask you, in light of, other than looking cool, is there any benefit to spinning that double-bladed saber? I mean,
it looks really cool.
It's
It is hard to
some fighters that have like really cool spinning moves though.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's hard to track where the point of hitting is going to be. You kind of make a force field around yourself, much like this scene. where he hits the button and makes the force field.
Is this part like you guys are just kind of staring each other down like during like in the middle of rounds like
Well, or you can refer to it, sometimes we call it staring in the mirror, and that's when you're both at this neutral point. It's almost like a gentleman's agreement where you're just kind of waiting or taking information in before somebody strikes.
Just gonna take that break real quick.
Yeah.
Take a breath. And here comes the corner man with the water for Liam Nelson. Oh no! The commission's not letting you in the cage. Yeah, I feel like Liam Nelson was a little too much on the defense here. If he had gone a little more offense, he would have been able to cut in and get past the double sabers.
So you think like he let himself get into a negative position then?
This got him cornered.
He did.
Yeah.
He let Darth Maul take charge. He let him control the rhythm of the fight. And that's when he started backing up. And then once you control the rhythm of the fight, that person is only reacting. And it's easier to set up the feints and set up what we're about to see horribly in the next few minutes or seconds.
Oh,
Awesome.
spoiler.
Ooh, yeah. And now this is the after the fight where the corner man jumps over the cage, tries to attack the
All
other
hell breaks
fighter.
loose.
Yes, exactly.
This kind of makes
Or
me think
it
of
could
that.
be in Russia where they allow 2-on-1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This happens.
The team fights where one person gets submitted and then all of a sudden it's 2-on-1.
Oh man.
That was a nice kick. But see that again with the flips. There's no point.
See?
Yep. Well, and
That's
you know you're
wasted
doing
energy.
good. You know you're doing good if you get kicked in the face, do a backflip, and land on your feet. Like you've got something working in your favor.
I feel like backflips or any kind of stunt work should be done as a celebratory technique. After your hands raised, after you know you nailed it or knocked somebody out, then put your acrobatics in. I'm even a little bit weird with spinning stuff. It just sometimes spinning stuff pays off magically and you end up with a highlight reel knockout or a move. But most of the time, or some of the time, can't say most, some of the time you end up in really bad positions.
A lot of
Well, and I think
Like as I'm watching this, I'm like kind of getting like early like Paige Van Zandt vibes, just lots of spins, like flips,
and there's also something to be said for, like you said, the extra flips, the extra spins, those parts. Takes me back to the classic scene in Raiders where the guy with the sword's just going crazy and Indy just pulls the gun out and shoots him like, what do you think you're doing? Like, this isn't the time.
That was
After you shoot him, then you spin the gun and put it away. You don't pull the sword and then, yeah, I feel you on that.
All right, couple more seconds here on this.
The other thing is that hole's been there the entire time and they never thought to kick him in it.
Yeah.
They're not aware of their surroundings. They're not using their cage awareness.
It's one of those first rules. You have to know your surroundings. You have to know your opponent's weaknesses and strengths. You just need to know where to attack.
Yeah, use the environment to your advantage.
That's great. You know, honestly, that was really cool to hear people who know what's going on, because I live in the hey, that looks really cool world. So
I mean, we're being very nitpicky because he made
of course.
us.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah,
We like
it.
It.
Still cool.
We like it.
So, oh wow, that's really cool. Well, guys, this has been a ton of fun having you on with us and hanging out and talking about what you guys do and that. You know, I love the fact that there's, you know, you can watch this stuff and you can apply what you do. And look, we're both, take the Star Wars out. We're both podcasters. So, hey, we can hang out and talk about that too. So where can people find your podcast and where can they find you online?
Okay, I'll go. You can find us at Two Straws Podcast or Two Straws MMA Podcast on Instagram. We're on YouTube at 2 Straws, the number 2, and then Straws, and also on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts.
Awesome. And do you have personal social medias you want to share?
Yes, I'm Angie Overkill on Instagram and Twitter, and Jessica.
And it's my full name, Jessica Penne, on Instagram. I don't even have that T-shirt. Oh my god, I'm so jealous.
What? I have so many.
I never got that one.
Some. What?
Oh,
you never
this is
told
one
me.
of the good ones. Like, come on.
It's
Oh
like
my
the best
God.
one, honestly.
I know,
thought
it's
she
my
probably ran out.
favorite.
I feel like you got that when you met Jess. I think that's when I gave
Oh
you.
yeah, no, like he
Yeah.
brought a shotgun to the shoot, and I was like, I need this shirt right now. Like, yeah.
That's so great.
That's great.
But yeah, my full name, Jessica Penne, on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome.
Outstanding.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully we'll talk to you again sometime soon. And best of luck to you, and we'll be watching. And I know my son will now be going, see, I told you, and showing me stuff on his phone. So, but thank you so much,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more ATG Live.
Thank
Thank you for having us.
Artu, where are you? Artu? Artu? Artu, you're on fire! Artu, you found a cigarette. Well, I don't think smoking is grown up at all. Because it's very dangerous. Smoking does dreadful things to your lungs and is very bad for your heart. Well, I know I don't have one, but humans do, and I think we should set a good example. Well done, Artu. Oh, hello. You know smoking is bad for your health, and it isn't grown up at all. So please, don't smoke. Artu, do you really think I don't have a heart?
Well, welcome back to AT. What are you nodding? What are you pointing?
I made that stupid video, and I still laugh like an idiot every time it comes on. Because my favorite picture for like 25 years has been the behind the scenes picture of Anthony Daniels having somebody light a cigarette through the mask of the C-3PO helmet. And then you find the 70s anti-smoking commercial, and you just have to marry the two together because I have nothing better to do.
And I find it really funny. So the world has changed so much. Like he couldn't live without a cigarette. It's 125 degrees. He's in this hot plastic suit in the desert. They're holding an umbrella over his head, and he's like, I need to smoke.
Well, and I would say that it's changed a lot. And of course, in the last 15, 20 years, more than that, I definitely had some times after college. I didn't smoke, and I would smoke occasionally, like social smoking if we were out drinking or something like that. But like I played in rec league, like church and adult and business league softball teams after college, like men's league teams. And I had multiple friends that would have to stand on the side of the men's softball dugout and burn one down in between innings because they couldn't make it to the end of the game. So, everybody has their thing, I guess.
Everybody has their thing, I suppose. Well, want to thank Angela and Jessica one more time for hanging out with us tonight. I'm not even joking. I am not going to watch that fight the same. And just, it's again, in our heads, we watch it, it's like, oh yeah, it's cool. We know that they're just flipping around and it's the force and all that stuff. But just to hear them talk about when, like, to me, when Qui-Gon lost the fight, that's really cool. That's, I wouldn't have picked up on that. That's just really cool. And
I love that perspective. And I love that when they did the Maul and Ahsoka fight in Clone Wars season 7, that Ray Park came back and did the motion capture for that. And then Lauren Mary Kim was the motion capture person that did the Ahsoka stuff. And we had her on several years ago and talked to her, and just to hear that how their athleticism and the things that they do play into something like that. And so I love hearing Angela and Jessica talk about, interest in stunt coordinating or interested in fight coordinating and just seeing what those skills and what else they can do with them besides just, beating the crap out of people in the ring, which that's pretty cool too. Good work if you can get it, I guess.
But it's a really interesting thing too, because it's like, you play bass, I play bass. I can't listen to a song sometimes without just like listening for stuff, and it must be tough for them to watch. And I've heard that the Wick movies were really well done, but to hear it from them, it's just an additional level.
And it's like anything. It's anything that you're a specialty or have a specialty at. I watch sports movies and the heater. Watching sports movies, I wasn't, I played basketball and baseball all throughout high school and college, and like you can tell when it's not done well. When you see basketball scenes in a movie and you're like, these people don't know how to play basketball, and like they do quick cuts away from, like, one of my favorites is in The Sopranos when Joey Pants is out there playing basketball with Bobby Bacalari in the back parking lot of the pork store. And you're going, neither one of these people have ever shot a basketball in their life, but they're trying to make it look like it works.
Exactly. Exactly. It's so funny. It's very cool. Well, we got a voicemail. We also have our weekly guest, and I'm going to bring in Chris and Kelsey to join us for our weekly call from our good friend, Honest to Claude. So let's bring in Eric, shall we? Find him.
Patch him through.
Hi, I'm holding for General Hugs.
This is Hux.
Okay, I'll hold.
Hello?
Hello? Yep, I'm still here.
Looks like he's back in bed. He's smoking his
He's in full on John and Yoko Sith bed in mode.
What's going on there, Eric?
Yeah,
how are you?
Good. I was anticipating that the two guests you had on were actually gonna like stay around longer. Like I had rap names for them, but don't worry about that. Chris, I have a question for you.
Dear God, so aggressive.
Chris has a
do
question.
not demand things from our guests, please.
I didn't demand anything. I was just
that was a bit much.
I like telling it to them.
You know what? Like both of them could like rip literally like any of your limbs out of their sockets. So like, don't threaten them.
They're like
mine too.
Also, I could.
What do you got for us this week, Eric?
What you got, Eric? You had a question for Chris, you said.
Oh, you got a question for Chris?
Yeah, some kind of interruption. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Chris.
Communications disruption can mean only one thing.
You said a few weeks back that you're going to check out my Star Wars script. Have you read any of it?
Haven't had a chance to yet, man. Work's been a little overwhelming. So, but I will get to it. I still have the link and everything like that. So yeah, I'm going to download it. I'm going to check it out for sure, bro.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for a fight with these ladies. I was just going to give them rap names like I do everyone.
Okay, he needs to go. He needs to go. Get him out of here.
Like you're talking about, like, oh, you know they can like just snap your arm like spaghetti. I'm like, good Lord, what the hell is wrong with you, Kelsey? why are you putting this in my brain?
Wow,
I'm just trying to chill here with my death stick, and you're talking about brutality against me.
Because you're demanding shit of our guests. Like, that's crazy.
I'm like, what are they demanding? I'm just like, if they were going to be
here, they didn't stick around long enough for me. Just for me.
I said if I was anticipating
that the new octagon.
They're not. I'm way.
Okay, hold on. Can I like literally force choke you through the computer? Because I wish I could. My God.
Communications disruption can mean only one thing: invasion.
Okay, well.
What the?
Well, let's
send everybody back to their corners.
Why? Why did he choose violence? Not when like there were 3 more powerful women on this like tonight than him. Like too much.
Oh man. Well, why don't we have a voicemail? Let's check it out.
Liven things up from Oklahoma.
Yeah, let's see what we get. We always know we can count on Eric and we can count on Matt. And let's make sure that we bring this in. I always screw this up. Hit play, and I'm the only one that can hear it. So hang on a second. There it is, and here it is, and cool. All right, here we go. Hear it?
Today's day was Daisy Ridley's birthday, and the amount of hate I've seen on social media and jackassery from especially males hating on her over Star Wars is freaking ridiculous. I don't understand these fan babies. I mean, you can separate the character from the person and not like the character, but don't go hate on the person, and they're not in touch with reality. I don't understand it. I mean, it makes you kind of be ashamed to be a male Star Wars fan. I mean, I absolutely can't stand the Unspeakable Han character. But I don't go and post hate to Adam Driver. He's a really good actor. I can separate the two. I was raised better. I don't understand these jackasses that get out there and hate on somebody because of a character they don't like. You can not like something and still be an adult. It's disgusting, man. It makes me sad.
Well, he's right, and I posted something about Daisy Ridley today for her birthday. She's 33, and hopefully she's going to start.
She's an adult hobbit. That's exciting.
That's right. Yeah. So she, it is interesting the people who just still don't like her, but I think she's, honestly, I think her acting in all three of the movies was one of the highlights. Her and Adam Driver and John Boyega worked so, Boyega didn't get much with Boyega didn't get enough.
Let's not go there.
That was last week's story.
That was last week.
But
the time for this week's episode, Black Stuff.
Don't go there.
I thought Daisy was great, and I definitely can't wait to see her come back. So, guys, we are 2 weeks away from Andor. I want to once again remind people to check out our show immediately after you watch the 3 episodes that come out week to week. It's going to be wherever you find podcasts. It's our little show called Road to Rebellion. Guys, I got to ask you, I can't ask Nick, but I'm going to ask you guys, what do you guys want to see? What's your big let me throw here a prediction from you guys for something that you want to see in Andor season 2. I'm going to start with Chris. Chris looks like he's ready to go.
Pete, what? And just give me the damn show.
Just give me.
I don't have any. Just put it on my TV screen. Stop making me wait. That's the only thing. You know what I want? I want to watch it right now.
That's the gimme bumper in here.
Yeah. Just that's my one. I want to watch it right now.
Gimme. That's cool.
Right now.
That's Matt wants to see K2SO. What about you, Kelsey? What are you looking forward to most with
I mean, I'm kind of with Chris. Like I'm not into predictions anymore, mostly because I hate when I'm smarter than the writers. That is just the worst. I'm just I got this big brain, and it's just the ideas are better than what they come up with. So I don't do that anymore.
But it's a really important, and it's something that since the new era of Star Wars, it's been my biggest challenge and probably my biggest failure is trying to not have the story that I want to have. And Chris, I think you're the one who said it at one point on one of our shows was, if you could figure out what they were going to do, it wouldn't be worth watching. Right. So there's so many times, I remember I walked into The Last Jedi, and in my head, I knew what it was going to be, but of course I was so wrong. And that's great. But the problem is, you're right, Kelsey, you're probably much smarter to not go in with any expectations, just come in and let it wash over you and watch it and enjoy it, so that you're not but I was certain this was going to happen and it didn't. So, yep.
Yeah. So I have a specific example of where that turned for me, and it is Iron Man 3. So I was at Comic-Con in San Diego the year that I got to see the Iron Man 3 footage, and I'm a very big Robert Downey Jr. fan, if you don't know. And so like basically he wasn't announced for the panel, and he runs in from behind me. I'm like 4 feet from him sobbing. But no, like the footage that they showed us during the panel was edited a very different way and had like a different feel than what was in the actual movie, and it set a very different tone for what the movie was going to be. And like also being someone who grew up reading Iron Man like comics, like seeing what they did with it, it was so drastically different that my expectations were not met watching the film. So it's like I now try to like approach things where I'm like, all right, just surprise me, like because it will just feel better that way.
Yep. That's 100% the way we should go into these things for sure. Well, we are going to next week. The week and a half is Star Wars Celebration. None of us will be there. Chris was belaboring and moaning, not happy about it. We get it, right. But we may not have Star Wars Celebration. But next week we will have Paul Sun-Young Lee hanging out with us. He's going to be our very special guest, and he's going to be. We're going to talk to him about his action figure. We're going to get his thoughts on what we can expect at Star Wars Celebration. We're going to try to sneakily find out if he's in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Sort of take a side entry and see.
Right. I'm still basing it all on what's the status of his beard going to be when he shows up next week? Is it Uncle Iroh? Is it Carson Teva? Where are we when Paul shows up? Also next week, Heather Antos, one of the co-creators of Dr. Afra herself, is going to be with us for the Dr. Afra Toast. So we're excited for Heather to pop on, and we're still working on maybe one or two other special guests to join us that are not going to be able to be at Celebration, but
our own little celebration.
Yeah, that's right. Our own little mini celebration kickoff next Thursday night. Absolutely. So we hope all of you that are watching will join us. And we know we'll be here hanging out and having a lot more fun.
Cool. Chris, one more time, what's happening in Broaxium? Anything new that hit this week? Anything you want people to, other than everything on the site, go order it. But is there anything that caught your eye? Anything new that's on the site this week?
Well, on the site, I like I said, I do custom Black Series sets curated by myself that I have like a particular theme. Cool. So this week, I put up, let's see, a Tales from the Underworld 2-pack with Cad Bane and the Saz Ventress, and also another one called the Price of Freedom, which I also call the Masterclass 2-pack in acting, and it is Luthen Rail and Saul Guerrera, their Black Series figures, and those are like the new ones I put up there. But yeah, every week I'm gonna have some more stuff out there.
Nice. Now, are those Andor season 2 Black Series, or are they from season 1? I can't remember.
It's season 1. It's season 1 because there's no Luthen figure right now for season 2. Like there's only like 3 or 4 different characters that are out for right now, but he's not one of them, unfortunately. But
I haven't bought a Black Series in a while, but I am really tempted to get the TIE Fighter pilot.
It looks excellent.
Cassian, looks really cool. So. Well, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Looking forward to our own little Star Wars celebration next week. If you're watching us live right now, make sure to hit like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Check the podcast feed for not only for Road to Rebellion, but also for other shows coming in there, other podcasts. We're going to take guests and put them into the podcast stream. Make sure to buy your action figures from Broaxium Outpost. And Nick, until next week, may the Force be with you.
Always.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night. but not goodbye.